Monday, that's April 10th, we can look forward to the start of this year's session of the Louisiana Legislature. The governor's address will kick it off, and LPB will bring you live coverage beginning at 1 p.m. Barry Erwin, president of Council for Better Louisiana, will be here with me to present that to you. Barry, thanks for coming in today for a little preview of this.
Sure.
What is it like, a session with a lame duck governor? He's on his way out, and this is a fiscal session. Does that introduce anything unusual?
It makes it a little different for sure, and then the added complication, if you want to call it that, is it's also an election year. So you put all that together, sometimes you get fireworks.
That might spice it up,
right?
Will.
It probably will spice it up in some ways because it's an election year. People want to get attention, so you see sometimes some really hot button issues that get a lot of attention and kind of make the news. But a lot of times you don't see a lot of substantive things happen. So there's a lot of smoke, but there's not always fire.
Right, because no one wants to really rock the boat if they're running for something,
exactly.
Something that can come back and haunt them. Right?
Play it safe, to the degree you can. Don't get into trouble.
What is the governor's role in the final months of his tenure as governor?
Well, I think he's going to be promoting, as he has almost every year, some of the issues that have been close to him in terms of things like minimum wage, pay equity, and those types of things. But those have never gone anywhere, right. and they probably won't again. I think the thing this year is the fact that we have so much money, both from the federal dollars that have come in from pandemic, but also state dollars that have come in at numbers that people just did not expect.
Correct.
So it's not going to be like having to worry about budget cuts, but it is going to have to be about like, how do you get it spent? Does it go into the areas you target? Do you get a teacher pay raise the way the governor wants, or is the legislature going to weigh in with another idea? So we'll see.
Yeah, and we also have a couple of interesting things happening, especially with the sale of hemp. And Representative Clay Schexnayder blaming the health department for allowing hemp that gets you high to be sold in stores.
Yeah, I mean, you can always count on the legislature to give you some surprise issues, and this is definitely a surprise issue. Basically, what happened is that the speaker helped pass, really pass some legislation last year that would legalize the sale of hemp, used, in small quantities of CBD in there, so that it wouldn't get you high, but it could be used as kind of a, natural remedy and that type of thing. Told everybody it's all good. And then come to find out that a lot of stores were stocking higher levels of this, and people were getting high. And so now there's been some backlash, and correction is in order.
And what we're talking about, like thousands of convenience stores making money, they definitely don't want that off the shelves.
No, they figured this out somewhat early on. And obviously by the sales, you heard some of the testimony of people saying, this is a big deal if you change this, because we're making a lot of money off of this.
Fentanyl is also a big topic with Representative Stefanski. I talked with him last week, and this is the hardest you could get in terms of a bill that he hopes to pass, which would make it the death penalty for someone who's involved with something that leads to a death or injury with fentanyl.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fentanyl is a very big issue in our state, and people are very concerned about it. I think there are some questions, though, that some others are going to have. We've passed some criminal justice reforms, which are meant to, not keep everybody in jail forever, but to allow, after some period of time, that people might get out and basically save money for the state. So those two things are going to be sort of competing issues. But the fentanyl issue is a huge one, not just here, but across the country. And with an election year especially, and Representative Stefanski running for Attorney General, you're certainly going to see a lot of debate on this.
Right, you sure will. Council for Better Louisiana, what will be the thing that you guys are looking at the most?
Well, I think we will be looking a lot at the money aspect of it. One of the things that's been good about this legislature compared to years past when we saw people not learning lessons is that when we had a lot of money coming in the past, we kind of squandered it and did things that got us into budget problems later. The good news is, I think, is that they have targeted a lot of these dollars, knowing they're not going to be there forever, into areas that are kind of non-recurring. So that means if you run out of that money, well, you fixed the problem, but you may not be able to fix another one in the future, but it doesn't bust your budget. So we'll be watching closely to make sure they kind of stay on that path of kind of fiscal responsibility for sure.
They seem to have so far at this point.
They have, and it's encouraging because, sometimes people say the legislature doesn't learn from its mistakes, and that's true a lot of the time. But I think in this case where you had a bunch of legislators that were kind of burned on having to deal with years and years of budget cuts, they don't want to pass that legacy on to other people or have to deal with it themselves.
Well, Barry, there won't be a shortage of things to talk about after we hear the governor's address, which typically doesn't set off fireworks or anything, but there will be things to discuss. We'll be here on Monday to do that.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, and it's always interesting.
Yeah, it sure is. Thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here.
See you Monday.
Sure.